Hello, guys. Welcome here to another episode of Out of Turn 4. I'm Brian here with you. So before we begin with our episode, I do want to apologize for those who are looking for Sunday morning Tinkle this past Sunday. Unfortunately, both Jason and I had quite a busy weekend. I had to go out of town and I got to celebrate with the family. A big commencement in the family, so congratulations, by the way, to all the college graduates. I won't give my opinions on college, but congratulations to them all. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms as well. That's kind of why we didn't get to record. And then the other thing to just really factor in is, and again, this goes out as well for No Final Bell listeners and watchers, but you guys got to remember that this is not our full-time job. Unfortunately, if we can make a lot more on these than we do, which is nothing, maybe this could be our full-time jobs, but yeah, just unfortunate. It's just not our full-time jobs. We do have full-time jobs outside of this. Sometimes our schedules allow for us to be able to do these shows, sometimes they don't. It's just unfortunately a part of how things go. But we do have a big show today. We got a lot to recap from Darlington and the Indy GP. We also got a few headlines, and we got our race weekend picks for North Wilkesboro. Yes, North Wilkesboro is back this weekend. We're so excited to get to watch that race, but we begin with Darlington and Christian Eckes. Man, he won with a bunch of Cup guys in the field. He gets his second truck win of the season, his third career win, and I think it's safe to say that move to McAnally Racing there has saved his career. We know he spent time between KBM and ThorSport before moving over here. And it's clear now he's starting to get his feet, he's starting to get established there. He's starting to really, come into his own, really, at MHR. And, it's nice to see. It's great to see him be able to thrive with that team and really help them build. Of course, they've been on the cusp of the playoffs with Derek Kraus in years past. They've been a two-truck team now for a little bit. I know Colby Howard was with that team last year. They didn't exactly do as well as they could have. So it's great to see Eckes take them to that next level. And I think, this is the right pairing for them. I think, Eckes just had to get out of the Toyota program. Clearly, whatever they were doing was just not helping them. So good run for Christian Eckes, and it's great to see him finally have some success here in the truck series as he tries to move to the next level, which is going to be a little bit of a climb, but, good to see. What a battle in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, by the way. Kyle Larson, he takes the race late from John Hunter Nemechek and goes on to win. Of course, he's the first driver in Kaulig racing history to win in his first start. Of course, they both came out of 4. Kyle Larson, it looked like, bounced off the wall. Nemechek bounced off of him and spun out. I might have over-exaggerated with Larson hitting the wall, but clearly John Hunter just bounced off the 10 really hard and spun himself out. And, I always say Kyle Larson, I said a few weeks ago, man, Kyle Larson has a tendency to be a little bit of an over-aggressive driver. But this one I just can't fault him for. Honestly, I just can't fault him for this. This is just good hard racing at the end, and it's just unfortunate that it ended the way it did for John Hunter. But good for Kaulig and good for Kyle Larson again. I don't see anything dirty with that result. I think it's just good hard racing by two great drivers. And they were both in it till the end. That's all you can ask for, really, in that situation. Willie B on the Cup side, he continues this career season he's been having with another win at Darlington, his third win of the season. It's the redemption win, by the way, of course, for those who don't remember. William Byron was in contention to win last year before he got punted by Logano late, who went on to win that race, but it is his third win, William Byron's third win of the year, his first at Darlington, 7th career win. By the way, this win marks 100 wins for the 24 team. So, just remarkable. Congratulations to him. Of course, it did not come without more drama, and I am wearing my Ross Chastain shirt, but man, we have another reason to talk about Ross Chastain on this program. And for those who are just constantly hating him for being over-aggressive, this is what the sport needs. And I've heard it across all platforms, not just here, But, you listen to a lot of these podcasts. He's the guy, he's the villain that NASCAR needs for the ratings. And Chastain, of course, him and Larson, they had their own battle early. Larson was given literally an inch from the wall, had to lift out of 2, typical move that Kyle Larson does, except he actually put somebody in the wall, usually on the outside. But Larson loses 3 spots. Later they get side by side on a late restart. Larson runs Chastain up the track. Of course, Chastain then gets the lead, takes the inside, tries to repay the favor, and ultimately sends the 5 into the wall, sends himself spinning, and then ultimately ending his own day. Nothing for Chastain to apologize for. Good, hard racing, and, he raced Larson the way he was raced earlier. I mean, these two raced hard, and I'm sure they talked things out after, but, it's, all the haters for him is just ridiculous, saying he shouldn't be at the Cup level and stuff. Like, come on, guys, really? Like, Chastain is a talented guy. Sure, he's making a lot of enemies, but you know what? They're making noise, okay? And he had to try to win a race. He hasn't won a race in 38 races. So, he's got to do what he can. I know he's leading the points, but the win is what he wants. And I have no issue with this battle. And to be honest, Larson has a tendency to be over-aggressive himself. That's why I don't have an issue with this battle. So, I'll just leave it at that. I don't think anything's got to be done to Chastain. I think, in that instance, drivers need to lighten up a little bit, Can't keep blaming Chastain for everything. He does have to race to try to win, just like everybody else. Alex Palou, we skip over to IndyCar now. Alex Palou has opened up the month of May with a big victory in the GMR Indy Grand Prix. First win of the season. And as we enter now the oval portion of May, I feel like, Ganassi is once again going to be that team to beat. And this is just the momentum they needed going into the month of May. So that is going to be quite interesting, to say the least. Looking forward to a fun month. Of course, things begin on Saturday with Indy qualifying. Then, of course, Sunday will be the Fast 12, the round of 12, and then the Fast 6. And then, of course, we get into Bump Day, which we will have Bump Day. We will have Bump Day thanks to R.C. Anderson and Able Racing. So, but I think it's going to be a fun race. I think it's going to be chaotic. Really, I think is going to be the word to describe it. I think it's going to be chaotic as we go in to this weekend. So can't wait to bring that to you here on Tinkle Group Gaming, or Tinkle Sports Entertainment, the coverage, and out of turn 4 as well. And once again, I just think Ganassi is going to be the team to beat once again. But I think McLaren, though. I will say this, McLaren proved to be very strong in that Indy GP. That's what I was also going to say. McLaren looked very strong, and on top of it, they will be adding Tony Kanaan to the driver list for the Indy 500. His final attempt at the race. I mean, you got 2 winners in the stable. You got a guy in Pato who's more than capable of winning this race as well and adding his name to the list. So, again, I just can't say enough about it. I think those 2 teams are going to be the teams that run the Indy 500, if I had to guess. But, of course, we'll have more on this. I'll actually have some news at the end of the show regarding the Indy 500, so stay tuned. Lewis Hamilton has shown an interest now in a potential IndyCar career after F1. He would love to do a test, is what he said, at the Miami GP. And I think it'd be good for IndyCar. I think it'd be really good, Lewis Hamilton, I get it, and I've said so much about F1 not being a good racing product, and it's really not. But I think, putting Lewis in one of these cars, would be huge for IndyCar. It'd be huge for the ratings because Lewis Hamilton is arguably the greatest F1 driver of all time. If, definitely on the top, toward the top of that list. So to see him get a shot would be cool. Even to see him in an Indy 500 would be cool. But of course, we know he's got many years still to go in Formula One. Sir Lewis does. So, we're going to have a little bit of time before we see him behind the wheel. But I would love to see him muscle an IndyCar for McLaren or somebody big for the whole month of May. Not just the Indy 500, but the Indy GP as well. I think he could do some damage in that race, or in those 2 races. And I think we'll really get to see, driver talent at the end of the day. And hopefully, we'll get these F1 elite fans, that think that F1's the only form of motorsport that's actually good. Hopefully, we'll get them to see that IndyCar is a tough racing product as well. And frankly, the best one that's out there. Carl Edwards has, of course, been in the spotlight this week for really the first time since his retirement at the conclusion of the 2016 season. Carl had hinted during the Fox broadcast and during the fan zone interview that he misses racing now. He announced that while he was at the NASCAR 75 celebration and in the booth for the race. It's clear he has an itch to come back to racing. Of course, we know. For those who don't know, I don't know where you've been, but Carl Edwards was in the Championship 4 in 2016. Had a good shot at winning it. And then, of course, got turned by Joey Logano late. Then, of course, in January, he announced he was going to retire from racing. Has not jumped in a race car since. Has not been really seen since that whole matter. So, that begs the question, will Carl ever return? I want to say yes. I really want to say yes. He's going to return eventually. I know he said he wants to do simulator work. What I can see him returning to, though, is not NASCAR. But I could see him returning to SRX. I think SRX would be that series he would go to race. And maybe even the Cars Tour. I think he's going to do the smaller stuff. He's not going to do the bigger, series like NASCAR, Trucks, Xfinity, or Cup again. I think it's going to be one of the 3. Maybe there's a shot that RFK Racing, with Brad and all them, maybe they let him come back, but that depends on if him and Brad patch things up. But, I would say SRX, maybe the Cars Tour would be big for him. I think those are going to be the races that we could see him in the future. As far as what happened, it's an answer we'll never get. I know Kenny Wallace has pressed him repeatedly. Kenny Wallace has, trying to get the answer of why did you retire? Why did you retire? And Carl never responds to it. So, of course, there's the rumors he had a broken heart after losing the title. There's rumors about Suarez with the sponsorship, but I think what it comes down to, and I think, I think it's one of those things where you think, well, he's going to say it without saying it in this, and silence says more. Silence says a lot in this, I think. I really believe it was heartbreak, losing another championship. But if he's going to act like that after losing championships, maybe Denny Hamlin should take notes. No, I'm kidding. Maybe I'm kidding. No, I'm not. So, poor attempt at humor. But I hope Carl returns. I don't think it's going to be NASCAR, though, to be honest. But it was just a shame seeing him go out of the sport the way he did. Anyway, very small weekend here. We only got Trucks and Cup. Trucks at North Wilkesboro. And let me just real quick be sure that I had that right. Pretty sure I did. Yes, I did. Next Xfinity race will be at Charlotte. So with that, the Trucks at North Wilkesboro. I'm picking Kyle Larson. Of course, Kyle Larson will be relieving Alex Bowman for the race, who is still out with the back injury. So I'm going to pick Kyle Larson. This just seems like a Kyle Larson type track. So I think he's going to get the job done for Spire. Then on the Cup side for the All-Star race, I'm picking Denny Hamlin. I feel like it's going to be a battle between him and Larson, but I feel like Hamlin will come out on top. And it'll be interesting, of course, this weekend at Wilkesboro is going to say a lot about the future of racing at North Wilkesboro. But I think, without question, this event has brought back this racetrack. And if you haven't seen the pictures on NASCAR social media, I guess you want to call it a 6-year challenge. I think you really want to call it a 6-year challenge here, because this track went from needing a bulldozer in 2017. I mean, it looked like it was headed straight for the bulldozer that at that point, to just being this completely restored track. And it's just remarkable the work that ISC has put into it, and of course Dale Jr. getting that track cleaned up as well to put on iRacing. Just remarkable work by everybody involved, and I can't say thank you enough to them, as I'm sure the race fans in general can't say thank you enough. Hopefully this will lead to more bigger events for North Wilkesboro in the future. So we'll see. We'll see how this weekend turns out. But I'm excited. I'm looking forward to watching it on Sunday night and, of course, on Saturday for the Trucks. But with that, we want to thank you for watching. Of course, real quick, a programming note. Of course, next week, we'll have our Tuesday show on May 23rd. That'll be our normal How to Turn 4, where we'll have all the latest headlines. We'll have the recap of the race weekend, and of course, we'll have our NASCAR Coke 600 picks and all of our NASCAR picks in general. But on Saturday, May 27th, we will have our Indy 500 special that we love to do every year. We will get you caught up on everything leading up to this point in the month of May. We will then, of course, go through the grid from 33 to 1, give you what my favorite game, which I like to call pretenders or contenders in the Indy 500, based on everything we've seen to that point. And then, of course, I'm looking to make my pick for the Indy 500. And that'll be on Saturday. It'll be at 7 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and Facebook Watch. And then, of course, after that, we'll be back to our normal shows just on Tuesday, really, through the rest of the season. So, once again, tune in next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Eastern for our regular show on YouTube, Facebook Watch. And then tune in next Saturday, May 27th, the day before the Indy 500, 7 p.m. Eastern, we will have our Out of Turn 4 Indy 500 special. So again, we want to thank you for watching, and we'll see you for both shows next week. We hope to see you for Sunday Morning Tinkle on Sunday. But until then, goodbye, everyone.